Nenshkwet headset na Mwamba.
So Mwamba
Kafa wabaranda mwe umfokulira kwa bantu Kasama yuti bose batinda me abakuru n'abana Bose bashikata n'abana mayo banerira we Mwamba Kasama ile fire iwe wile we boheshi Mwamba Later experience Alankane we Mwamba Emmanuel Bose bakasama Bale fire Mwamba Emmanuel Mwamba Emmanuel Bongazama wakulira Tulefoya Mwamba wesu Emmanuel Chipane ni PF Tulefoya Mwamba wesu Emmanuel Wakuito uwele Emmanuel Mwamba ambassador Emmanuel Tulefoya Emmanuel Mwamba ambassador Emmanuel Bongazama wakulira Tulefoya Mwamba Niwewe walefuaya Kafa wabaranda Mwe umfokulira kwa bantu Kasama yuti bose batinda me abakuru n'abana Bose bashikata n'abana mayo banerira we Mwamba Kasama ile fire iwe wile we boheshi Mwamba Later experience Alankane we Mwamba Emmanuel Bose bakasama Bale fire Mwamba Emmanuel Mwamba Emmanuel Bongazama wakulira Tulefoya Mwamba wesu Emmanuel
Good evening, family. Good evening, countrymen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are discussing the issue of the Patriotic Front and the recent activities against the Patriotic Front. I think we'll go back to the issues of the by-elections, what's currently happening, and the recent activities by the Registrar of Societies. But before we go any further, there are just a few things that I want to start with. First of all, I would like to congratulate the former Minister of Information, Honorable Doris Leah. She was graduating today at the University of Lusaka, UNILAS, with a PhD. And also our leader of the opposition, Honorable Brian Mundwile, our leader of the opposition in Parliament, was also graduating with a master's degree, I think in constitutional and administrative law. He wasn't there because he's in Kenya on national duties. But congratulations to Honorable Doris Leah and Honorable Brian Mundwile and all those that graduated today. Congratulations. It takes a lot of hard work. There's been another sad matter. The issue of the market, the roadside market, when you are going to the Copper Belt or to Kabwe, is very well known. You know, it was gutted and the entire market came down. I know the marketeers must have lost, the vendors there must have lost their fresh produce that they are known for. If there is any help both that DMMU and government can render to those enterprising traders, I think it would be very ideal. The issue of the market there is of serious concern. And we hope that we can render help to our marketeers who have suffered huge loss in that fire that occurred this morning.
But Johnny.
Study Mwale, former permanent secretary at Ministry of Defense. He was very instrumental in the last by-election. In Chilabombe, was camped in Chilabombe, and he campaigned very, very heavily for us. We just heard that he was missing today, and his lawyers kept on looking for him. We've just found out this evening that he's been deposited at Baumoro police station. You remember where they locked up Honorable Chimbakambwili, where in Chilanga, Baumoro farms. It's named after, the Baumoro farms, the Baumoro area, because it's an old police station built in 1958. That's where we hear Honorable Study Mwale has been detained. We don't know the particular details, but it is these issues of dealing with political opponents in a very severe manner, without even considering their human rights. You just abduct them. And family, lawyers, everyone is looking for them. And we hope that Mr. Study Mwale is okay, but the lawyers have advised us that he was deposited at a police station in Baumoro in Chilanga. Simon Zukas' farm is around that area, and his farm was called Baumoro Farms, and I think that is where this police station is based. Another matter, President Edgar Lungu, our 6th president. President Edgar Lungu, who is Zambia's 6th president, he saved our country, faced the first 18 months after President Michael Sata died to complete the term of President Michael Sata, remember, under the old constitution, and we started a new constitution, and President Lungu then saved another 5 years up to 2021 August, when he handed over to President Hakainde Hichilema. He's been very busy, and is probably associated to what we'll talk about today. He recently met the 2 archbishops, the former Archbishop of the Metropolitan of Lusaka, Archbishop Telesfo Mpundu, and the current one. So you see President Lungu was very jovial in meeting those 2 colleagues. Press reports are saying they were being reconciled. No, these are men of God. They are not being reconciled. I think they were just having good cup of tea with the former president. And can't people meet without these speculations? President Lungu has been very busy. He jogs. He attended the funeral of Honorable GBM. Honorable GBM was remembering his mother, who passed on last year, and there was a memorial service just the last 2-3 days, and you saw again President Edgar Lungu attended that that memorial. So let's go back to the main issue, why we are here. You can call us on 0973 04 5292 or 974 808 115. You can call us on 0973 04 5292 or 0974 808 115. The issue of the deregistration of the Patriotic Front. I wrote an issue yesterday. I said this will embarrass President Hakainde Hichilema, and I reminded the country that there was an attempt in 2012 to deregister the MMD. The MMD at the time was the largest opposition party with 53 members of parliament. There was a very zealous officer there, Clement Andeleki, is currently the member of parliament for Katombora under the UPND. He came there and he deregistered the MMD. He said they had not complied with the requirement for registration, and they had not filed their annual returns, and there are various sanctions under the Act, but he chose the ultimate one, deregistered the MMD. That brought a lot of embarrassment for the government of President Michael Sata. He was condemned by our cooperating partners, by civil society, and internationally, because people interpreted it to mean that our democracy was under assault. How do you deregister a very big political party over flimsy reasons, and reasons that are provided for in the event that regulations were flouted? How do you go for the ultimate punishment? That action was reversed by the courts of law immediately, and I think it was a blot in the legacy of President Michael Sata, because here is an officer who thought he was impressing the president. Similarly, we are facing similar circumstances where officers think they can impress President Hakainde Hichilema. For me, I put it to him, such actions will embarrass the country, who undermine our democratic credentials, and who go to destroy us. These activities are not isolated. On 7th December 2022, famous Lusaka lawyer, renowned lawyer Lewis Mosho, filed a legal suit in the High Court to compel the Minister of Home Affairs to deregister the Patriotic Front. He said the party owed him 4 million kwacha for the services his law firm Lewis Nathan rendered. This suit was in the High Court, and he sought to compel the Minister of Home Affairs and the Chief Registrar of Societies to deregister the PF. He says the party is unable to meet financial regulations, and he said it was going to continue to incur these financial obligations that it was unable to pay. He said under the Society Act is provided for that an independent person be immediately appointed to wind up the affairs of the Patriotic Front. This year, on 20th February, you saw one of our members, Honorable Malsampa, write a letter to the Chief Registrar. And again, he said the party was flouting regulations, and he said the party had failed to fill in the vacancies that occurred. In his view, the Patriotic Front's leader, President Edgar Lungu, had resigned, and other office bearers like Davis Mwila and Honorable Samuel Mkupango had resigned, and he wondered why the Chief Registrar of Societies was not compelling the PF to follow its regulations, and he directed that they should direct the party to hold the conference as soon as possible. But these issues were the same issues that our dear brother Mao Sampa had taken to the courts. He had sued the party, disputing disciplinary measures against him. He had sued Nixon Chilangwa and Honorable Given Luwinda, stating that they were occupying their positions as acting president and acting secretary general illegally, and he has sought the court first to quash his disciplinary action, that it was an action meted by people that illegally occupied the office. But what is the status of the PF? Well, the PF held its conference in April 2021. You are aware that our new constitution compels all political parties that will participate in the general conference to hold transparent, objective, proper internal elections where the office bearers are known, their presidential candidate is chosen prior to the general elections. It's now constitutional. You just can't go, you just go to participate in the general conference. Remember, even the UPND, the last time they really had a conference was a 2006 one. In between those years, they didn't. But the new law also compelled them. So you saw the PF, Democratic Party, Socialist Party, all political parties went to a general conference. And it's that general conference where the PF, after that general conference, filed in, I've got a letter that I want to show you. We filed in our new office bearers, 10 of them. We filed in the old ones that were being replaced. And So we were very surprised to see this letter from the Chief Registrar of Society, alleging that the PF had not complied with the law and that the PF risked being deregistered, and she gave the party a number of days to comply or she would deregister the party. I bothered to go to the history to demonstrate that in the recent past, there are numerous attempts to deregister the Patriotic Front. They are legal, administrative, and some political, as we've seen. The rhetoric from our colleagues in the New Dawn government, they say the PF is a criminal enterprise, the PF should be deregistered. You can see that it's their wish that this party be deregistered. But the Patriotic Front is the largest opposition party in our country. It has 58 members of parliament, and it participates in by-elections. It's part of the governance of this country. Why would you wish to deregister it? That is why we've been saying this is a well-thought-out scheme to destroy the PF. Because you've seen how they've assaulted its leaders. Its leaders are in court for all sorts of charges. Zambians are even beginning to wonder if there's merit to the charges. Because Zambians support the fight against corruption. Zambians want politicians to learn that the treasury is not there to loot. But when you abuse the fight against corruption, you make it selective and targeted, and you want to use it to destroy your political opponents. It's no longer a fight against corruption. So with that background laid, let's hear from you. The number to call is 0973-045292, 0974-808-115. Today I produced letters. I don't know if my producer here can show you the letters where we filed in the leadership of the Patriotic Front. I want to read out the 10 names that were already submitted, and we are up to date with the annual returns. By the way, I need to make that very clear, so we are not flouting any regulations. Okay, we've got a first caller. Good evening. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Oh, Whitney, thank you very much, Mr. Mulobela. Please participate.
Thank you very much. I think I just want to talk about your view about the deregistration of the Patriotic Front.
Yes.
I really think that you are overstretching the matter, because I think, first of all, we need to appreciate one thing, Ambassador Mwamba. The rule of law demands that he who comes to equity must come with clean hands.
Yes.
In the best. Okay? So I don't think that this is a political matter. I mean, what the Patriotic Front is supposed to do is simply to provide what they've been asked for by the Register of Society. And I think let's not politicize the matter here. I think there is a lacuna, and I think there have been several reminders from what we are reading to the Patriotic Front. And one thing to underscore is that the Patriotic Front, like you rightly said, yes, they are the largest political party, and in the interest of democracy, they must be given a chance, and they must flourish. So I do not think that there is any impunity here with anyone who wants to be registered as the Patriotic Front. For me, I think this is a compliance issue which the Patriotic Front must seriously address. And it's sad that a ruling party, a former ruling party, will find itself in such a mess, Ambassador. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Whitney, and I'm grateful for that call. Well, Whitney holds that the process and the letter of intent to deregister the party is purely administrative, and he says there's no ill intention. Thank you, Whitney, for those views. Let's hear from others. Good evening. Good evening.
is Mark. I'm actually calling you from Florida, USA.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Please proceed with your contribution. Mark from Florida, USA.
Yeah. Actually, this really brings my concern.
Yes, please proceed.
I don't think, we all know what the schemes and the plans of the ruling party are. You know, only those people that may not fully understand what is going on would not really appreciate or accept the fact that these are the maneuvers of the ruling party. One of the things they want is to make sure that, they destabilize PF, people lose confidence in PF, so they'll keep on bringing all these issues here and there. I think my advice to Patriotic Front is, we know you are not dealing with someone that really wants you to exist. So what is it that you should do? Put everything in order. Seal all the loopholes that they can.
Oh, have we lost Mark from Florida? Oh, I understand. It's an ordinary call that has come in. Good evening.
Good evening, Your Honor.
Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
This is Peter calling you just within Lusaka.
Peter Mumbi. Okay, Mr. Peter, please proceed.
You see, me, to tell you the truth, as we are behind you, the PF, the thing which is happening now is bad in our country. In terms of economy-wise is bad. No one can say HH is doing fine. You see, when you talk about the issue of millennium, they will shift the attention, they will go to other things so that you forget about what they are doing. What people they don't want to see is people complaining. That's why even in HH, the president is even against the complaint of the Zambians. So, the thing that we want to see is you, Mr. Honorable, and others to come together to ensure that the PF become the big opposition party to challenge this small, even the ruling party. This is what we want.
Thank you.
May you continue even going background, please. Background, please,
okay.
Including more opposition. They are even more than that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, Peter, thank you very much. Let's accommodate other calls. I can see all the phones are buzzing. The number is 0973 045292 and 0974 808 115. So, here are the names that have been submitted to the Registrar of Society. The odd ones that were there was Bernadette Muila, Daniel Mianda, Ephraim Chilumbe, Honorable Inonge Wina, John Mutekenya, Richard Chandanyela, many people know him, and Honorable Sylvia Chalikosa. Those were the odd names. Then I'll read the second names when they come. We have a caller. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Yes. Please tell us your name. Oh. So the new name, we lost him. The new names include former President Edgar Lungu. Remember, the party held a general conference in April 2021. And out of this conference, a leadership was elected. And it's those names, 10 names. that have been submitted. And the 10 names that have been there since 2021, and we've been renewing our annual returns, include former President Edgar Lungu. There's so many calls, but they keep on cutting. Yeah. Okay, we have another caller here. Good evening, and please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador.
Good evening. Mr. Alwindi from Kafue.
Yes, and I hope people will not stereotype my name, because that has been the case mostly. People like stereotyping terms of names.
Oh, no problem. Here we receive calls from across Zambia, and we do not stereotype, my brother. We regard you as a Zambian, and your views are taken as such.
Yes, Ambassador, I think one of the key things that as Zambians we desire to see political parties show and demonstrate that they are able to abide within the provisions of the law. Because if they can show that as political parties and even other institutions, I think that becomes better for us, so that we don't build up the country of lawlessness. So in the case with the where PF has been threatened with deregistration, I think PF has the ball in their hand to provide the names or write the registrar to request for an extension on the deadline provided, so that within that deadline provided, in that extension, PF will be able to go for a convention and choose offices thereas. I'm of view that you provided the paper that you were talking about where you had submitted, but it's based on the one that will be circulating on media. It's 2021. And currently, then there's also, between that date and now, there's been people that have resigned. So I think it's, again, let's not play so much about politics on this issue. PF can do something, write the registrar and request for extension on the deadline, and then again that they organize themselves and have a convention so that they can have officer bearers that they can submit. Otherwise, for me, we need to see political parties and other institutions registered with the Register of Society to be able to demonstrate that they can abide by the provisions of the law.
Okay, I'll play you the video by our Vice President. You hear what is, then I talk to the issue that why there are on the name some people that have resigned or perceived to have resigned. Okay, let me take this call before. Thank you very much, Ma'am Halwindi. Thank you. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Let's take this call before we play the number for the video. Hello, good evening, and tell us where you're calling us from.
I'm calling you from
Your name, sir? Mark Njovu. Emmanuel Njovu.
Yes.
From Chiwombo. Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Please make your contribution. Emmanuel Njovu from Chiwombo.
Yes, I'm just trying to find out what is causing the party to deregister the party.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. I will explain. Okay. So, is a video for Honorable Davis. Okay, let's for Honorable Given Rubinda, our Vice President of the party. Please play the video.
The courts handle the case.
So if it goes to 2020 until 2026, what happens then?
If we are stopped by the court from making any progress with regard to electing the Central Committee or the next president, what do? We can't be in contempt. We can't. So our progress will depend on how quickly the court matter is resolved.
So do you think if this court matter drags into next year and probably the other year, do you think this would affect the standing of the Patriotic Front as far as the politics are concerned in this country, the political fortunes of the Patriotic Front? Would that be affected?
That is a highly debatable matter. There are some people who argue that the party will have a lot to benefit if we elect a president. There are also others who argue that the longer we take to elect the president, the better it is for the party. So it's a very debatable matter, highly debatable. But we ourselves already set ourselves the program that we're going to have an extraordinary conference to elect a successor to Edgar Chagwa Lungu. Because as things stand, Edgar Chagwa Lungu was given the mandate in 2021 to run this party until 2026. It just so happened that after the 2021 elections, President Edgar Chagwa Lungu decided that he's going to step aside. And that's how he made me vice president to act in his position.
Yeah, just to emphasize. So when the party went to a general conference, we had persons that were elected, a leadership, a president, vice president, and central committee members that were elected for a period of 5 years. And the names that were submitted to the central committee is that number 1, Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, number 2, Honorable Davis Mwila, number 3, Honorable Samuel Mwanga Mkupa, number 4, Mrs. Monica Mwale Mwansam, number 5, Mrs. Annie Nyirenda Tisha, number 6, Honorable Davis Mwila, number 7, Honorable Mwamba Malama, number 8, Honorable Emerin Kavanchi, number 9, Honorable Freedom Skazwe, number 10, Stephen Kampiongo. Let me update what has happened. This morning, our Deputy Secretary General, Honorable Nixon Chilangwa, went to the Registrar of Society's office, and he was also at the police. We hear that they want verified fingerprints attached to these names. We have complied. I think all the 10 have submitted the fingerprints. So there's been an issue. But these office bearers, some have resigned, like Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, Honorable Samuel Mwanga Mkupa, and Honorable, of these only 2 are said to have resigned, or 3, Honorable Davis Mwila, President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, and Honorable Samuel Mkupa. Let me clarify. The former President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, has not resigned. We should make that very, very clear. Yes, there is a letter that was written to Secretary to Cabinet, and we've seen it float. But the party has not processed any resignation. There is no letter that has been brought to the leadership of the party. And he says he has stepped aside. Remember, he surrendered all his presidential powers to 2 individuals, to our Vice President, Honorable Given Uvinda, and made him acting president. He gave him all political powers. And then to the Secretary General of the party, Honorable Nixon Chilangwa, who is a deputy Secretary General, was given administrative and disciplinary powers. And the president has laid back. He has given the leadership time to organize a general conference. By constitution of the PF, only the general conference or extraordinary general conference can replace the president. There is no other way. That's why Honorable Given Rwinda is acting president. There is no other way you can replace the president of the party. That is why in 2014 we had to go to a general conference in Kabwe when His Excellency, the late President, may so rest in peace, Michael Sata, died. We had to go and replace him at the general conference. That is what the statutes, you can't do it any other way. So President Edgar Lungu is waiting to hand over to whoever will be elected. You remember, I am among the 9 that paid 200,000 kwacha. And among the 9 presidential candidates. And these issues the party is dealing with. Issues of membership, issues of audit of leadership, issues of the constitution that needs to be amended before we walk to do that general conference. There was a disruption recently when our 2 key office bearers were taken to court, where our dear brother Miles Sampa is challenging their appointment. That matter is in court, we can't discuss it. However, the 10, Honorable Davis Mwila remains a member of the Central Committee. He could have resigned as the Secretary General of the party, but he remains a member of the Central Committee and remains PF. Honorable Samuel Mwanga Mkupa is actually even in a higher level. There's a board of trustee that has been created that is above the central committee. It's advisory in nature. Honorable Inonge Wina is there, and many of our senior leaders are in that advisory unit. So Honorable Ngonga Mkupa is a member of our party, is sitting in that apex body of the party, and he's never resigned from the party. You can have office bearers that are even ordinary members. As you saw on the previous 10 that I just read, most of them were ordinary members. They held no single position in the party, but they were the 10 that the party had submitted. I guarantee you, if I looked at the structure of the UPND and the names they've submitted at the chief registrars, at the registrar of society, you will find that they are called office bearers, but they may not even be members of any management committee or even any provincial leadership. They could just be senior people that the UPND has found to be trustees of the party, and those are the 10 names you give. You can check any political parties. There's nothing sinister. These 10 names remain valid. They were submitted. We've been doing annual returns. I know many people are saying just comply. We've complied. We've complied and complied. Even annual returns are up to date. Today we are elated by the registrar, chief registrar of society. She said on record there were some names that didn't have fingerprints. We had to call people like Honorable Freedom Skazu, who's now based in Kitwe. You know, we had to reach our dear sister, Honorable Emmanuel Kavan. She was not feeling well. She's been feeling under the weather recently, and we had to reach her and get the fingerprints. We don't want this government to use any excuse to attempt to destabilize the PF. That is why I read the activities that have been done recently where there are attempts to deregister the party. Number one was a court action by a renowned Lusaka lawyer, Honorable Lewis Mosho. He said the party should be deregistered because we owe him 4 million, and to his mind, he says they are unable to pay me this money, therefore deregister the party. He asked the courts to compel the Minister of Home Affairs and the Chief Registrar of Societies to deregister the party. We saw the recent action by our dear brother Mao Sampa, where he wrote a letter to compel the Registrar of Societies to tell the PF to go to General Conference. Now remember, the decision of the party to go to the Extraordinary General Conference is a mere choice of the party leadership. Good evening.
Good evening.
Please tell us your name and where you are calling from. Your name, sir?
Mr. Moses Tembo from Mufulira.
Mr. Moses Tembo from Mufulira. My dear brother, good to hear from you. Please make your contributions.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, you know, this issue,
Kuch konkolu, you know.
Exactly.
Nishpade kwa shintili.
Yeah, so I am issues there. I want to come in to the issue of the permission of them one by one. So now Sampa himself, for him to do those things he's doing, it means there's something he's doing in the background. So for me, I would advise the body of trustees of PF get hold of Honorable Mao Sampa. They sit him down and they see that these issues they're taking to court, these things can be resolved internally. You see? So for as long as these issues are before the courts, we'll keep on dragging, and meanwhile, those who are in the ruling and the others will seek to destabilize us a lot more. So that's why I end up with mobilization in the background, in a few other background, if in Tushambo, Kwenda. I can tell you from where I stand and the way I see things and the people that I interact with every day. The bottom line is that people still have a lot of faith in Patriotic Front. Okay? The reason being, when people say bad about PF, the next thing they'll point at them is a bad harvest. The next thing they'll point at is Inge Museotorenda or Nge Patala, Nge School. So, if they to So please, nobody okay? Let's work together to that. If she's got any serious ambitions, let's see. But the fact is that the General Conference should not hold. Let it continue. They will destabilize it, but they will seek to destabilize the party at any point. So we need to do things we know. There's nothing that this man is seeking in the courts that cannot be resolved with all the brains that are in PF. I don't think so personally. So look at that book, that the Fifth Discipline by Peter saying, if you've not read it before.
Oh, you should SMS me the details, Moses. I'll be grateful to read it.
Yeah, the Fifth Discipline by Peter saying, it talks about thinking in circles. So there's a pattern here. There's a pattern here that is following, and the sequence of events are pointing towards the weakening PF. So that come 2026, they were strong, hold on the votes. I wish I could say that, but otherwise, I've seen it's a non-issue point by what you've explained. As that now, the issue of the deregistration has died already, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's non-existent. But it's a good party to remain alert. As you said, like the gentleman from Florida was saying, to say, seal all the loopholes.
Yes.
And you can only seal the loopholes if we have the leadership in place and everything is moving.
Okay. No, Moses, I'm very grateful. Thank you for your contribution once again.
You're welcome.
So I was explaining that the party statutes, President Lungu is still listed as party president there for the very reason that you hand over to whoever will be elected. Good evening, and tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador. This is Mwamba. I'm calling you from Choma.
Yes, my brother. Mwamba Kelvin, yeah. Choma, yes.
I would like to comment on the issue of the registering the Patriotic Front, following the failure to unveil the office bearer by the Registrar of Society. Am I right?
Yes.
So, Ambassador, you may agree with me that there are terms and conditions attached to each political party or any organization that is registered under the Registrar of Society. And the warning by such a Registrar of Society to the Patriotic Front that if it doesn't avail the office bearer's name, it risks being registered. And you are saying it is the UK government that wants to, or that is advocating for deregistering the party. When you know very well, Ambassador, that it is the rules enshrined in the constitution of this land that such a political party should have office bearers, and you are linking it to have been propagated by the UPND government. Why can't you just do the needful as a political party, as the largest political party in Zambia, so that you don't face such consequences, instead of accusing the ruling party that it is the one which is now fighting the former ruling party. It is not a good thing to see a biggest opposition political party like PF being deregistered under the watch of the president. So instead of you start crying that it is the UK government that is using the Registrar of Society to register your party, why can't you just unveil the members that are retired? Can you just imagine it? Less than two years after losing power, you are failing to fill in the members, the office bearer. So it is not something that you need to be
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mwamba. I'm very grateful for your contributions. Is that all?
Sure. Yeah, that's all. I think just include the native and you know, you don't face the consequences. My elder brother, Ambassador Emmanuel. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Well, we still hold from the party that there have been various attempts to deregister the party. We know the schemes. We are just not alleging these schemes. The schemes are real. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Yeah, I'm actually calling you from Mwamba. Sorry, the network area is bad.
Yes.
Yeah, what I was just trying to put across is that the Patriotic Front are not dealing with people that want them to exist. This government has failed lamentably in every sector. And so what we do, instead of them really facing the challenges that the Zambian people are facing, they turn now to a Patriotic Front, because they know it's the only credible party that is there now that can actually remove them from power. So the idea is really to destabilize the party. All PF must do right now is put your house in order. I know people are calling for this and that, convention, but I think the problem that has been there is there hasn't been much information out there to explain to the people exactly what you're doing now. We really appreciate people don't have the information regarding the people that are actually holding office.
Okay.
But with the information that you put out right now, I think it is going to settle people's hearts down. When you don't have much of the challenges, keep doing what you're doing, keep organizing and holding the party together. That's what I just wanted to say.
Thank you, my dear brother from Florida. Thank you. So I'll play the video by Honorable Given Winner once again. This is just to emphasize that there is a leadership in place, and the party at the general conference, the decision to go to an extraordinary conference to attempt to replace, President Edgar Lungu is a choice of the leadership as part of the rebranding. Otherwise, the party has a leadership that was elected for 5 years. The decision for Honorable Davis Mwila to step aside is an internal issue that we chose, that we should then, elect a president who will then find another secretary general. The decision to elevate Honorable Samuel Mukupa to a senior level, again, is an internal decision. But the party went through a very general conference. The next one we're supposed to have is in 2025, 2026, after 5 years. However, after the loss of elections, there have been changes internally where we felt that there are certain things we need to do to win the hearts and minds of the people. Let me emphasize, the 10 listed members remain PF. They are valid. This morning, Honorable Nixon Chilangwa was at the registrar, and they raised an issue of fingerprints, and all the fingerprints have been submitted. Let's play the the video for Honorable Given Winner explaining this morning. Was on Lusaka Modern Radio.
The courts handle the case.
So if it goes to 2020 until 2026, what happens then?
If we're stopped by the court from making any progress with regard to electing the Central Committee or the next president, what do? We can't be in contempt. We can't. So our progress will depend on how quickly the court matter is resolved.
So do you think if this court matter drags into next year and probably the other year, do you think this would affect the standing of the Patriotic Front as far as the politics are concerned in this country, the political fortunes of the Patriotic Front? Would that be affected?
That is a highly debatable matter. There are some people who argue that the party will have a lot to benefit if we elect a president. There are also others who argue that the longer we take to elect the president, the better it is for the party. So it's a very debatable matter. highly debatable. But we ourselves already set ourselves the program that we're going to have an extraordinary conference to elect a successor to Edgar Chagwa Lungu. Because as things stand, Edgar Chagwa Lungu was given the mandate in 2021 to run this party until 2026. It just so happened that after the 2021 elections, President Edgar Chagwa Lungu decided that he's going to step aside. And that's how he made me vice president to act in his position. How the courts handle the case.
So if it goes to 2020 until 2026, what happens then?
If we're stopped by the court from making any progress with regard to electing the Central Committee or the next president, what do? We can't be in contempt. We can't. So our progress will depend on how quickly the court matter is resolved.
So do you think if this court matter drags into next year and probably the other year, do you think this would affect the standing of the Patriotic Front as far as the politics are concerned in this country, the political fortunes of the Patriotic Front? Would that be affected?
That is a highly debatable matter. There are some people who argue that the party will have a lot to benefit if we elect a president. There are also others who argue that the longer we take to elect the president, the better it is for the party. So it's a very debatable matter, highly debatable. But we ourselves already set ourselves the program that we're going to have an extraordinary conference to elect a successor to Edgar Chagwa Lungu. Because as things stand, Edgar Chagwa Lungu was given the mandate in 2021 to run this party until 2026. It just so happened that after the 2021 elections, President Edgar Chagwa Lungu decided that he's going to step aside. And that's how he made me vice president to act in his position. How the courts handle the case.
So if it goes to 2020 until 2026, what happens then?
If we're stopped by the court from making any progress with regard to electing the Central Committee or the next president, what do? We can't be in contempt. We can't.
As I was stating, is that the decision to go to conference and create new office bearers is an internal decision of the party. Everyone is attributing all this excitement to the activities of President Edgar Lungu. President Edgar Lungu was with the two archbishops. You know, the Catholic Church is the most powerful entity in our country. And last week he was with Archbishop Telesfo Mpundu, who people deemed that was extremely critical of President Lungu. This week, Archbishop Alik Banda and Archbishop Telesfo Mpundu met. You remember there's been some perception that the two don't get along, but you saw how jovial the two archbishops were. And because of this sense of instability by the UPND, they are aware that President Lungu has an eligible term. Remember, he is eligible to stand again. So they assume that even if he says he has retired, they think all his activities related to his coming back. I think President Lungu has been very, very clear that he wants to rest. He is now a statesman and all his activities are related to him becoming a statesman. And him meeting archbishops, meeting academics like Sishua, Brebna Changala, civil society activist, and he set up a foundation recently, should not unsettle anyone. The president has been consistent, just like Honorable Given Luinda put it, that the president has retired. Where is the fuss? Now you even want to deregister the party. What has happened at the Chief Registrar's office is a mere administrative action, but you want to turn it around and make it into a scandal. Like the PF have been careless. When the PF have not been careless, they submitted the names and they've been doing annual returns every year. And when we have an extraordinary conference where one of us will be elected, there are 9 of us. If one is elected, we will freshen the list with the Registrar of Society. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Uh-oh, we lost a caller. Yeah. So when the party holds the extraordinary general conference, the registrar of societies will be given a new list of office bearers. Maybe the president that will be elected, it could be Emmanuel Mwamba, it could be Brian Munduwile, it could be Chimbaga Mbwili, it could be Dr. Chitalu Chilufya, it could be Honorable Mutoto Kafwaya, it could be my dear brother Monde. So whoever will be chosen will choose a Secretary General and then will update the list of office bearers with the Registrar of Societies. At the moment, on the list, the president is Edgar Lungu. He's waiting to hand over to whoever the party will elect at the General Conference. So please call us. Call us, we hear your views before we move to another topic. Call us so that we hear your contributions. The number to call is 0973 045292 or 0974 808 115 or 974 808 115 or 973 045292. This is but a mere administrative issue. In fact, the sanctions don't call for deregistration. But we saw one registrar, chief registrar, literally deregister the MMD at the time. So you never know when people are scared. But what is important is Zambia is a democracy. And Zambians moved away from a one-party state. If someone thought this action will please the president, it will just backfire in their face. Zambia is the democracy. You might not like the PF, but they're part of the democracy. There are 58 MPs. They had 60 until 2 seats were stolen. So there are 58 seats in parliament. They provide checks and balances in the legislative assembly. They have party structures like ourselves who interact with you and provide checks and balances to government, but also provide views and insights and become the alternative government to the UPND government. So the 10 names that have been at the registrar since 2021 is Dr. Edgar Chagwalungu, Honorable Davis Mwila, Honorable Samuel Ngongamukupa, Mrs. Monica Mwale Mwansa, Mrs. Annie Nyirenda Tisha, Davis Chama, Honorable Mwimba Malama, Honorable Emerin Kawanshi, Honorable Freedom Skazwe, Honorable Stephen Kampiongo. They replaced the other 10 I read. Again, in fact, if you look at the legacy, the other 10 were not even office bearers. They held no office, but they were literally the trustees that the party had submitted the names to. Sorry, I missed this call. So we'll go to the next issue, which is the issue of the economy. And I'd like to invite you to join in the conversation. Is a UPND taking us to somewhere in light of the economic crisis that we have? We literally have an economic meltdown. The highest cost of living. Now we have food instability, food security instability, because government literally exported all its national strategic reserves. The issue we are dealing with, the mines, the Minister of Mines today announced a new mining policy and the changes that have been done to the sector. And he has said this will attract investment and it will ramp up production, and it will meet the 10-year goal to raise copper production from 800,000 to 3 million metric tons. I looked at the document, nothing inspiring. It will just benefit the foreigners. Good evening. Tell us where you are calling us from and make your contributions.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for this program.
Thank you.
My name is Mark. I'm calling you from Lusaka, Zambia.
Mr. Mark from Lusaka, please make your contributions.
Thank you very much. I think that what is unsettling the people, it appears in this key decision of choosing the PF leadership. You have taken a lot of time, and people are tired of waiting. And I think that this is indictment on the leadership of the Patriotic Front. I think that time has come for us to start meeting some of these things. So we would appeal to you to say, we are wasting a lot of time. We are procrastinating a lot. So by this time, we should have already chosen a leader. So we appeal to the leadership of the party, Honorable Emmanuel in that everybody to speed up the process of choosing a leader. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We were on course. We were supposed to have a general conference by the end of 31st March. You are all aware. Then a court process was forced upon us, and our leadership was challenged, that of acting President Honorable Given Luwinda and that of Honorable Nixon Chilangwa. And you saw the challenges where even their leadership was questioned, literally, and our party conference was disrupted. But the bigger issue with the party conference is as follows. An audit of membership is underway. An audit of leadership. Who are the party structures? Who will you invite to the general conference? Will you just get strangers to come? They have to be verified members of the party. And that is a process that is underway. And remember, we had commenced a constitutional process so that when we go to conference, it will attract everyone who has filed in as a presidential candidate. We don't want anyone to be disenfranchised or to be prevented from participating. So the issue of the constitution, other than other clauses that make the party constitution quite weak, we want, when we come from the conference, the losers will embrace the winner, and the winner will embrace the losers, and the winner will now become our flag bearer for 2026. So you just can't rush a conference because people want a conference. You might have a sham of a conference that will result in splinter parties, that will result in the breakup of the party, that will result in the threats to the new leader. So the party has been quite careful. And personally, I would like to apologize, because we said we'll have a general conference by June. We said we'll have the general conference by 31st March. And that hasn't occurred. For me, I would like to apologize. But there have been various factors, and they are not deliberate. They are not schemes to prevent us from holding the general conference. You heard Honorable Given Luwinda say, I want it as early as tomorrow. Oh, sorry, I missed that call. Again, we go back to the issue of the economy. The Minister of Finance this afternoon issued a statement about the new mining policy and the targets that they would like to achieve of 3 million metric tons in the next 10 years. And he says with the new mining policy, they will attract investment. And that has been our concern, that this government believes in external solutions. They think the IMF is a panacea to our economic crisis. I said that we have the highest cost of living, the highest cost of millennium, highest cost of fuel, highest cost of everything. The debt issue is on stack and on standby. I was glad to hear my dear brother, Dr. Hawazoka Luwinda urging the president to jump on a plane and go to China. That is a view of all of us, that Mr. President, you already have good relations with the US. Thank you to that. But you have an issue with the Chinese government, the issue of our debt. We know you are resolving it through the creditors committee, but entrench the initiatives with a visit to China. It's not that China will control you. When you visit the US, do they control you? Do the US control you? No. Zambia has always promoted a non-aligned policy. Remember, Dr. Kaunda would be very welcome in Washington. He will be, the following month he will be in Moscow. The other month he will be in Peking. Then he will be in Delhi, India. That's the leadership that this country has provided. We've been global citizens that have participated in shaping of the geopolitics of our world, and we are urging on President Hakainde Hichilema to do the same. We remain in Nakumoku if you don't lean on one side. Participate with China and Russia. And if you think that your policies and activities will be threatened by associating with China and Russia, so be it. So be it. There's BRICS. BRICS is the alternative. It's looking like the future because all the fastest growing economies are in BRICS. Look at Brazil. Look at Russia. Look at India. Look at China. Look at South Africa. Until recently, of course. But these are providing an alternative bloc. And for them, they are south-to-south operations. So you can call us once again. You can call us on 0974-808-115. You can call us on 0974-808-115. What should be done? We have Mopani. We have KCM that remain unresolved. And we think that this government must pay attention. Secondly, they must also promote austerity measures. We are seeing ministers traveling here and there. I think there should be a cap to the ministers' travel. Some meetings can be held now virtually. You can participate virtually. You don't have to travel. Let us recognize that the country is facing challenges. There's been some good news regarding NAPSA payment. I'm aware that, do we have the NAPSA counter there? There's been an increase and some people are celebrating. Of course, this is mixed news over NAPSA issue. The issue is very simple, that we are eating in the future benefits. But of course, people are broke. Our financial sector doesn't offer cheap loans. Our workers are yoked to these salary-based loans that literally milk them out. So any relief for them is welcome. So it's very difficult to speak against the NAPSA payment because they are going to benefit our workers. But there are threats there. It can threaten the base of our pension fund. If the pension fund has more money not in liquid form, but in asset form, that is a threat. If they just have properties and buildings and less money, and they're paying 11 billion kwacha, targeting 600,000. 11 billion kwacha is in excess of about $650 million. It's not small money. It's coming to the economy, it's coming to our workers. Yes, it is of benefit to our workers, but you have to remember that NAPSA should ensure that this political decision, it wasn't made by them. NAPSA, remember, didn't do an actuarial evaluation, although they've assured us that they've adequate money. Our point there is that we would have rather that there was an actuarial evaluation to ascertain what could actually be paid so that the fund is not threatened. But many people are excited about the payment. Aturieko shandi na liako 20%. That is a vibe I have heard from our people, that wale foku liako shabo na tabalefu wa administrator wa KSL yenda la mashabo. But so there are pros and cons. While you get the money, what will you use it for? I'm trying to get the counter from NAPSA to see if we can display it. We understand how many have been paid so far. Okay, my administrator will get it. See if you can get the NAPSA counter. We see how many people have been. If you go to the NAPSA website, it will tell us how many people have been paid this evening as at the close of the day. So the solutions to our economy, for me, are the matters of concern. We agree that the economy is in the doldrums. We agree what needs to be done. No, we don't agree what needs to be done. Our colleagues are relying on foreign investment. Our colleagues are relying on the IMF. But should that be the only solution? So call us on 0973-045292, 0974-808-115. We are discussing the deregistration, attempts to deregister the Patriotic Front. There have been 3 attempts so far. One, a court action started by a renowned lawyer that was started on 7th December 2022 to attempt to deregister the party and to appoint an independent person who should. There we are. Good evening.
Hello?
Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello?
Yes, please. Tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Oh, we lost a caller. Please call us back. Please call us back. Call us back. The number is 0973-045292 and 0974-808-115. So the registrar wrote this letter to attempt to deregister the party. She has given a few days to the party to submit names. She said out of the 10 names, only 3 were submitted. The party has said it has submitted the names from 2021. 2022, we filled in our renewals, annual renewal, and even this year, our Secretary General, Acting Secretary General, Honorable Nixon Chilangwa, was at Chief Registrar's office this morning. There was an issue of fingerprints to the 10. Those fingerprints are being submitted. So if there's no malice, if there's no hidden hand pushing this agenda, this shouldn't be a crisis. But we know that there are attempts, both legal, administrative, and political. The party participated in 3 by-elections, and you saw the violence that was deployed, targeting the PF and targeting the Socialist Party. You saw the violence that erupted in Chililawombwe, in Serenje, and in Lupososhi. We have seen Stadi Mwale, who was very active in Chililawombwe today, picked up, not given a notice, picked up and has been locked up. The lawyers and family were looking for him, only to discover this evening that he's been placed at Baumoro Police Station, where Honorable Chimbaka Mbwidi was placed. And remember, we found a snake in that police station. It's a very old police station, 1958 police station, and that's where they've put Stadi Mwale, former Permanent Secretary at Ministry of Defense, who will understand later why he was picked. Call us on 0974-808-115. The names, 10 names have been submitted to the Registrar of Society, and by the end of the day today, we're submitting even the fingerprint for Honorable Stephen Kampiongo, Honorable Freedom Skazwe, Honorable Emerin Kawanshi, Honorable Mwamba Malama, Honorable Davis Chama, Mrs. Annie Nyurenda Tisha, Mrs. Monica Mwale Mwansa, Honorable Ngonga Mkupa, Honorable Davis Mwila, Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu. Those are our current office bearers. The party is preparing for an extraordinary conference. And as I stated, there's been excitement on the activities of President Lungu, and many people are beginning to interpret that could all these punitive measures being attributed to President Lungu. You see him with the 2 most prominent men in our country, the 2 archbishops, and they had a nice cup of tea. You see President Lungu with the 2 archbishops, and then you see him with Honorable GBM and Honorable Kambwili. And the other camp appears to have been unsettled by these activities. But the former president has insisted that he has retired. He has insisted that he's waiting to hand over power to whoever will be elected at the Extraordinary General Conference the party is supposed to have. Someone alerted me that was asking me, so, Ambassador, what happens if they deregister the party? What happens to your members of parliament? Well, you can choose to go to general elections because the 58 MPs form over a third of that legislative assembly. I'm aware also of the provision of Article 79(9), which says if a party is dissolved, the MPs then become independent. There are articles that are very surprising in this constitution. But imagine you deregister the largest opposition party in the country. What are the effects? What if the MPs, in solidarity with that deregistration, decide to resign? You cause any elections. Is that the intention? So clearly this decision was malicious, and we think that it should have been avoided. Or I can say some people are sending messages, but we encourage phone calls. Please just call so that people can hear your voice. On NAPSA, anyone that can call and make contributions, let's see what your view is. Did we find the NAPSA counter to understand how many people have been? Okay, please place it on. Let's see how many people have been paid so far as at today. There's been excitement. There's a holiday coming on, the Kenneth Kaunda holiday. Please use this money wisely. Okay, so on the economic side, I want to hear your voice on the issue of the economy. What is the state of our economy? What should be done? The exchange rate today, so NAPSA, 9,315 people have been paid as of this evening, and 350 million has been paid out. This is money that has gone into the economy, pre-retirement lump sum benefits. We hope that this money can somehow help our people, because there's been no money in the last 18 months, and this pre-retirement lump sum benefit payments will go a long way in helping our people. What issues are you facing? Are you still facing some issues around the NAPSA payment? You can call us and tell us what is happening there. Our topic today remains the attempts to deregister the party. There have been 3 attempts. Number 1, an action that is currently active in the courts of law by Lewis Mosho. That action attempted to deregister the party for the court to compel the Minister of Home Affairs, to compel the Chief Registrar to deregister the party because the party allegedly owes Mr. Mosho 4 million kwacha. There's a complaint by, active complaint at the moment by Honorable Mao Sampa, who's trying to compel the Chief Registrar to tell the PF to go to conference and fill the vacancies he perceives exist in the party. And then the latest action by the Registrar of Society that has given notice to the PF that would register you because you have not complied with the regulations and you have not provided the list of office bearers. The PF has insisted that office bearers were submitted. Oh, what is happening? We keep on missing these calls. Is it the network? Do I have to switch off my Wi-Fi? What's happening? What's happening? The calls are just coming as missed calls. I think later when we find out the reasons for his incarceration and he's been thrown to Balmoral Station. The party will also give you update. We've complied the police were this afternoon verifying the fingerprints that were submitted, and we regard this as an administrative issue. If there are no political hands, it's just an administrative issue. But you and I know that there's nothing administrative with the UPND government. It's looking at an election in 2026. It's trying to consolidate itself. You can see the behavior of the New Dawn government in by-elections. Look at Chilawombwe, our minister, or former minister of national planning, Alexander Chiteme, was beaten. He was among those that were at the camp when the camp was attacked. Shots were fired in the air against us, and Honorable Chiteme and others. For Honorable Chiteme, he faced neck and hand injury. In Serenge, Dr. Fred Membe had to discharge a firearm just to protect his members, because these marauding UPND members stormed his camp and they attacked them. He had to discharge the firearm just to protect himself. Again, it's just coming as a missed call. We might have to check what is happening. And our networks also are just a problem. Zicta never finds him for those dropped calls, those missed calls, and the quality has gone down and down. It's like all our mobile networks are just investing in mobile money. That's where they've directed their investment. Instead of promoting their quality service, their core duty of that they are a mobile company, but they are now banks, and they have proceeded to invest more in mobile money than in their core business of networking. So you can call us on 0973 045292 for those failing to go through 0974 808 115. Call us on 0973 045292. Yeah, so another emphasis. The Patriotic Front is determined to hold this extraordinary general conference as announced. We will be holding a member of a central committee meeting very, very soon, and we hope that we can resolve, we will review the issue of the by-elections. Why did we lose? What were the factors? We know the role that the UPND played, but what did we do wrong ourselves? What was our presence? What was our investment in the by-elections? We know that by-elections are not really a barometer, but that doesn't excuse us as the opposition party from participating effectively. I have always commended the Honorable Fred Membe, who camps sometimes up to 4 or 5 weeks in an area. And when you see the results coming, it's because he has worked hard. So there's no substitute for hard work, whatever the hurdles we are facing. And for us, we should be using the by-elections to perfect our strategies. We need to know what the UPND are planning and what they are doing. So far, we know they are deploying violence and vote buying, the very things that Zambians rejected. But those are the methods they are employing. But what's our counter strategy to that? What if they use that strategy in the 2026 elections? Will we sit back and cry? We have to do a counter strategy. On the economic front, things are failing. Food insecurity, highest cost of living in the last 30 years. The solutions provided not inspiring. So far, the $188 million released by IMF has not been disbursed. Hope he goes through. Good evening.
Good evening, Honorable.
Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Okay, this is Matthew.
Yes, Matthew.
I'm calling you from Lusaka.
Thank you, Matthews. Please participate. I saw many people, the numbers are cutting. I don't know what the issue is, but it's good you've come through.
All right, I'm sure they did correct. Okay, just a quick one.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've spoken already because I've just tuned in.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to know on how a political party is registered. And the main reason, or the other
simplicity to say, even if our current party president, the former president, His Excellency Dr. Lungu, resigned. He resigned because he didn't want to involve himself in active politics. But he hasn't handed over power to any person, but has just appointed an acting person. So maybe for those of us who are maybe delayed, would you maybe shed more light on that point as well?
Okay.
Does it mean that it's like, okay, for example, I'll give an example of the country's general election. It's only that in Zambia we're a bit quicker in inaugurating a president. But in other countries, the president may be elected and they stay, I think, 90 days. I think, like what is happening in Nigeria, I think they haven't yet inaugurated the president. So, until such a period, so I may say the General Conference of the PF is an inauguration of the new elected president. So, until such a time, even if someone is sick, for now the current president of Nigeria is sick, he's still the president. Until the new Tinubu or whoever is handed power to, then that's the new president of Nigeria. So maybe you can shed more light on how the PF constitution works.
Okay.
Now, is it in tandem with the national constitution or it's separate on how it operates?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Matthew from Lusaka. Matthew's questions are very simple. Number one, how is a political party deregistered? One, if you don't file in your annual returns, you can face deregistration. There are also offences cited which then can warrant the chief registrar to deregister the party. Remember, this is a society. Churches, civil society, and political parties are part of societies, and there are those rules that regulate those societies. One of the issues is follow your statutes, the statute that you file. On the issue of the acting president, Matthews, you are very right. President Lungu let me take this call first so that I can answer both. Good evening, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Mwabombeni amani mwebani mkwayelo, where are you calling us from?
Yeah, I'm calling you from the United Kingdom.
Okay, and your name, sir?
Hello?
Your name, sir? Muila from UK. Please proceed with your contribution.
Yeah, okay. Mine is a very short one, Kanabesa. I just wanted, I appreciate the program. It's a very good program where we can also participate by calling in. The only thing I can ask that if people raise like 2-3 issues, deal with those issues conclusively, ignoring our cause, because even to I don't pick our cause. Because if people interject twice ago, you stop, then you come and continue following away.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you want to learn so that we follow you properly, then you pick the next set of calls. Say, let's say in the language 3, 4, 5 calls, then you drop. Then much to explain issues much to raise.
Okay. Thank you, Mwila. Thank you very much. Natasha, thank you for the advice.
Yeah. Then the other thing is deregistration. I'm failing to follow through, but if you can just emphasize on it, Kanabesa, because what happens with the resignations, like for those who have resigned, and what happens to the 3 because registrar and you are producing a document that now what that day. And the only 3 from those from that list have tendered in their resignation, but so that leaves 7. So where's the registrar of society is getting those 3 she has put in that letter? That's something that we want to enlighten. So
okay. Yoba Mwira Mwabomba, let me answer.
Thank you, Analyses.
So Matthew was very clear. He says, what are the reasons that can cause party registration? I've just explained. Why do we have an acting president? And if President Lungu has resigned, what is the acting president's position? Let me make something very clear. President Lungu remains party president. That's what our constitution says. That is why I gave the reason in 2014 when President Michael Sata died. There was an acting president at the time, if you remember. Guy Scott was acting president for the party and was also acting president for the country. There was nothing that could be done. Guy Scott could not be our candidate for that election. Our constitution requires that we go to an extraordinary conference to pick a new president. Under the PF statutes, the president can only be picked by a general conference, an elective general conference. In this case, we had a general conference in 2021. The president we have is valid until 2025, 2026. However, the party has chosen, after loss of elections, President Edgar Lungu has indicated that he has retired and he wishes to hand over to whoever is a new one. He tasked the party to prepare for an extraordinary general conference at which a party will be elected, where President Lungu will hand over his position and his instruments to the new person who will be elected. This person can only be elected at the general conference. There is a letter going around that was released by Cabinet Office that Dr. Edgar Chagwa had written to Secretary to Cabinet to resign his position. That letter has never been brought to the party. The party has never had an opportunity to discuss the matter. The party, and according to the statutes, President Lungu remains president of the party. He has not resigned. Honorable Davis Mwila, who resigned his position, remember he just resigned his position as Secretary General. He still remains a member of the Central Committee and he still remains a member of the party. Our Vice President and Honorable Samuel Mukupa, who was the National Chairperson, they've been elevated to a new structure we have created, an advisory unit of trustees. So where Honorable Inonge Wina is, Honorable Samuel Mukupa is, those of our seniors, and probably after President Lungu hands over power to whoever will be elected as new PF president, President Lungu, although we recognize that he's a statesman, but for if it's an advisory unit, he might also belong there. So all the 10 remain members of the Patriotic Front. And that is why I bothered to read the previous list. The other 10 who were our members, who were office bearers at the at the Registrar of Societies, were never, they didn't even hold any party position. I need to emphasize that. The 10, other than Honorable Sylvia Chalikosa, did not hold any position, but they were just members of the Patriotic Front. Honorable Inonge Wina and Honorable Sylvia Chalikosa were the only two who held elective office. Richard Chanda, you know him, he's a youth activist. He's a member of our party. But he was among the 10. He didn't hold any position. Nyera Mwalimu Ishba, you know. And the others, you may not even know them. They didn't even hold any position. The previous 10 that subsisted as members of office bearers for the Patriotic Front. But the 10 that you are aware of, that whose names I was reading, including that of President Edgar Lungu. When we have an extraordinary conference and the president is elected, the president will choose his own Secretary General, and the Secretary General then will submit a new list of office bearers, updating that person who will replace President Edgar Lungu, updating the position of Secretary General. So that is the issue. I hope, Mwamba, I have made that point very clear. Then you wanted to speak to the issue of deregistration. We have the letter from the registrar. She wrote a letter to the party yesterday in which she notified the party that the party risked being deregistered, and she said this letter is dated 25th April, and it's a notice to the Patriotic Front that they face deregistration, and she was citing some authority. That is what we are discussing. The registrar alleges that we only submitted 3 names, 3 valid names, and she says after 2 reminders she hasn't gotten any response, and she says then she will proceed to deregister the party under the days that she has given. So we have said we have complied again and again, and our annual returns are proper. And we said we don't understand where this malicious letter is coming from. We are not aware about these reminders. But however, our party acting Secretary General, Deputy Secretary General, Honorable Nixon Chilangwa, and party secretariat were at the Chief Registrar's office. She raised an issue of fingerprints, that of the 10, she only had 3 people that had submitted fingerprints. We resubmitted the fingerprints, even in the event that we had earlier submitted these fingerprints. The fingerprints have been submitted. So, Mwamba, I think those would be my comments. So, unless I've left out something, you can call now. Mwamba had advised that I cut the calls and I ignored the calls until I explained. So, Mwamba, I hope that we then can proceed. Whitney Mulovela, who was our first caller, said it's just a compliance issue. He said, as a party, the largest opposition party, we shouldn't find ourselves in this embarrassing situation. He says we shouldn't act with impunity. He advised that we just comply. Whitney, I wish it were that easy. We have been complying. I think there's a huge attempt to demonstrate that the party doesn't have its house in order, that the party is in a state of confusion, so that Zambians can then lose interest in the party. We think that that is the purpose. We usually end by 22 hours or 21:45. We might end at 21:45. Those wish to call, please call so that we accommodate your call. The current office bearers, let me go through. Dr. Edgar Chagwalungu, who remains our party president, is in retirement. Is waiting to hand over to whoever will be elected at the extraordinary conference. He has surrendered. Oh, there is a call. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mwamba.
Good evening, sir.
Evening. How are you doing, Mr. Mwamba?
I'm very well, my brother. Tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
I'm calling from Berlin. I'm David.
Okay, David from Bowden. Please proceed.
I'll speak Demba.
Emkwai landen kwai. Okay. Okay. Okay, okay. Okay, thank you. Let's take the other call. Thank you very much, David. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Honorable. I'm Moses Simusa calling you from Mazabuka.
Moses Simusa, please proceed to contribute.
Sure. Honorable, I think it's my privilege for me to have a chat with you today.
Thank you.
Now, the only thing which I can advise as Patriotic Front, I think we agree that we lost the elections in 2021. And the fact is, as much as they are trying to put things in order for us, in short, I might put that as for me, I see that the government, as for now, they're trying to help us to see where we have gone wrong, where we need to correct things. So as much as the government is trying to put in all these things which they are coming, issues which they are coming up with, I think to us, I'm saying that it is a plus. They are trying to help us. So let's not just take it as a negative part of it, but let's also see the positive part of it. That what are they trying to do? As much as we're going to be taking that whatever they try to do, we take it that is they're trying to bring us down. And we are also getting it wrong. Let's try to see how positive is it what they are trying to do to us. Otherwise, as much as we are trying to do whatever we're doing, we are all looking for a good Zambia. So let's try to tone down and try to help one another. Like how are we going to build our own organization? Let's not just always have the negative part of it, but let's also see the positive part of it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Moses Simusa says, let's take the positive out of this. Maybe the UPND is trying to help us. Moses, the UPND is not trying to help us. I'm glad that you are very optimistic, that it gives us an opportunity to put our house in order. Yeah, I agree to that extent that we should be positive. But let's hear another call. Good evening. Tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello.
Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Yes, Waxon Sakala, what is your contribution? Inquiry. Okay. Thank you very much. Waxon Zakala Baleva Chichi deregistration Finch Mulela Ndapo, what does it mean? Basakala balefo kushimia ichipani chesu, balefo kuisala ichipani chesu, baleva ti pali amashina tatu atwele kuli yako ofesi ichita organize ama societies yonse abakuchechi civil society na ma political parties eyo deregistration balefo kuisala political party yesu. Icho malande chako bati tuikatane. I agree with you, we should be united. But are we going to allow them to deregister the party? No, not at all. The leadership is resolved. We are determined at all costs to not allow this to happen. This is a distraction of our democracy. So we will not allow the UPND government, the new Dawn government, to deregister us. We will fight tooth and nail. We will go to court. We will go everywhere to ensure that this deregistration doesn't occur. I have just demonstrated that this morning. Basakala, ba Nixon Chilangwa, ba Deputy Secretary General Wesu, bachi bakulia kwine kuma office yaba Chief Registrar. Bachi batitaba yamwe nama fingerprints yama members bestuwa leterial ya machina. so twachia ku police twachipoka ama fingerprints nabeka lokutalinga ba freedom skazo no bachitupera ama fingerprints nabamawe ba Emmanuel kabanja bashide umfa bwino nabo bachitupera ama fingerprints twachatwala ku police bachite verify nokuyabwesesha kuri ba chief registrar so that there is no excuse to attempt to deregister the party. There is on unity, one person said, I think that was Moses from Flira, who says, why don't we get elders to speak to Honorable Maul Sampa? Thank you for that advice, Moses. It's something we can pursue. And I know many people concerned about the party from the church and just other senior leaders that are playing their own role in the background to ensure that all of us, we all love the Patriotic Front, and we might express our love differently. And so there have been attempts, various attempts. Good evening, and tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
This is Lucky Mwanza.
Yes, Mr. Lucky.
From within Lusaka.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mwanza. Lucky Mwanza from Lusaka. Make your contributions. Yes.
So, ikipo fyapa. Kachanya.
Mkwai.
Uli wanze nga mwa convention uli wanze ukawina kumsupport wanze. Noti yako wakati uya wina then umbelefu apange party ya kweshane uli wasengani moyo mwaka wina kani support. Kani wakamwili ngani wanani bamundubire. Kwikachanya.
Mkwai.
PF ichina ikwata ichi strong. PF yayo strong sana. That's why wale for start deregister PF party mrando kwa watu wale tina. Wale tina kwa watu 2026 kutia wina PF ngamaika chana.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yo, Natasha Sana, Lucky Natasha, thank you for your contributions.
Thank you very much.
So we are 9 of us who are aspiring to replace President Edgar Lungu. There's myself, there's Honorable Chimbakambwili, there's Dr. Chitaluchilufia, there's Honorable Mtotwe Kafwaya, there's Honorable GBM, there's Honorable Chimbakambwili, there's Honorable Greyford Monde. Good evening. Tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
I'm calling from
Okay, nimwebani mukwai, ndimwebandani mazina. Ba Robert Mulishani. Iyo landeni poyama.
I'm
Yeah. Yo, thank you very much, Manena Tacha-san. So he has pressed the burden on all the nine. The nine, here is another call as we go to begin to wind up. Good evening, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, this is Mr. Jero.
Mr. Jelo, yes, my brother.
You're calling from Chingola.
From Chingola, yes.
Yes. Mr. Mwamba, if you've heard them, like almost everyone has actually echoed for your unity, the unity of the party, so that you can actually, retain the membership. The situation that, the German citizens are going through is very pathetic. Something that will never, a long time experience. And the hope is just not in the PS. So please, should you go, I know, it would be that probably military with, having that convention due to the fact that whoever will be selected will be chosen to be the leader of the party. This government might just, initiate something, they might just start following them. So it could be that the delay is in that line. Maybe you're trying to avoid such, so that you choose the leadership. Maybe when we are almost there, towards the general election. But should one of you emerge the winner, kindly make sure that you are united, because it's like the hope for Zambian in this political party. It's like from the time that the PF lost power, there's never been any defection. They lost massive defection.
Yes.
When the party loses power. These governments can see they are following you up, so that we lose confidence in you. We lose, that confidence that you had in you as PF. So please get united. No matter what happens, get united. Don't listen to these people that are, like following you. In fact, they are following you because you actually, making, and then you are up to here. It's like every hope for Zambia in you. That's why they're even following you. Whenever the president is jogging, they follow you. Whatever they do, they actually follow you, meaning that you are making an impact. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chelo from Chingola. Thank you very much. Chelo has this proposal, and I've heard it many times, by people who say, but why do you rush to pick a leader? You know that the UPND will then focus their attention to attempt to destroy that leader. Why don't you delay the conference? Maybe you hold it around 2025. That is Mr. Chelo's views, and there are others that fear that as soon as we pick any from these nine, the UPND will then sharpen their focus to destroy that candidate. It's one of the issues that has repeatedly come to us as leaders, and to see if this is the best way. But this is a mass party driven by members. If the members want a general conference, we have to guide them. If the members want it to happen, we have to follow what our members are saying. So that is the issue. I like what Lucky Mwanza said, that as the nine, the burden for this country is on us, the nine. What are we doing? Why? We should ensure that the party succeeds, and whoever is elected among us, the nine, that we work towards supporting such one. Who are the nine? Emmanuel Mwamba, Shimbaka Mbwili, GBM, Honorable Grefford Monde, Honorable Brian Munduwile, Honorable Mao Sampa. Oh, there is another call. Hello, good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
It's me, Jonathan.
Mwabombe Jonathan, where are you calling us from?
I'm in Kasumbalese.
Okay. Kasumbalesa, please make your contribution, Jonathan. Okay.
Please, put everything in order.
Okay.
Yeah, and you put everything in order, otherwise we have the party.
Okay.
But
Okay. Okay.
As soon as possible, boss. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me answer Jonathan from Kasumbalesa, and he says he's very, very discouraged. He thinks that we are not doing enough to have this conference, and he says chinchi chakosapo. Yo, but Jonathan, tapari chikosele. First, number one, tufune tuwafuaendelama ya conference. Number two, tulechita audit yama members. Tuishive, like uko Kasumbalesa, kuchila wombe kumufulira. Bushe ntungulu shituwa shileko mu 2021, ntungulu shishabako. Nani akesa ku general conference. So there is an audit of both members and leadership that is taking place, other than the other logistic issues. Then we have a court case that somehow disrupted our process, but I think we are underway in making those preparations. The Central Committee will be meeting next week, and we will let you know as soon as the meeting takes place.
Okay.
Thank you, Jonathan. Shepalina Fimbi. Oh, he's gone. I may take the last caller before we wind up. Let's wait for whoever will be our last caller today. Tomorrow we'll be appearing on Hot FM breakfast show. Hot FM program at 10 hours, Hot FM radio. Watch, we will discuss this matter and other matters pertaining to our country. Is there any other message? Any other call? I saw we missed a call here. Let me take the last call before we wind up. We're about to take your last call, please, before we wind up the program. This one keeps on cutting. I think there are about 2 people trying to call. So today we're discussing the attempts to deregister the Patriotic Front. We've cited the background to it, and we've said there are 3 attempts to deregister the party. We think that the matter the Registrar of Society raised is a non-issue because we have largely complied. Yes, we have some members of the 10 that we submitted. Some could have resigned, but we've demonstrated here on this program that they remain members of the party or they are members of the Central Committee, and they are the 10. And previously we've held, there is my last caller. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Good evening. Mr. Tembo Moses from Kawe, please make your contributions.
So my contribution, first of all, I'll take you back to what happened when it came to the selection in 2021. You remember that mistake you had made. You failed to follow up what people wanted. You know?
I'm listening, Mr. Tembo. Please proceed.
That mistake which happened 2021 when it came for the selection. This is the same which is happening now. You know, we have the lowest government. This government, their aim is to finish our party totally. So the strategy that should be there, though these are secret things that we are putting on air, you should strategize. In case that president that is going to be chosen, under what